My name is Leonard Schein, and I'm retired now, and I spend a lot of my time doing volunteer work on charity boards of directors. I grew up in Los Angeles, and then I went to Stanford University, which is near San Francisco. And at that time, when I went to university, if you went to university, you weren't involved in the draft. It was the Vietnam War in the United States. But for my graduate work, the United States, they took away that exemption for people in the university, and they had a lottery system, and I had a low lottery number, and I didn't want to go to Vietnam. And so I then applied to graduate school in Canada, and I got accepted, and I just drove to the border, showed them my acceptance at the University of Saskatchewan, and did my graduate work in psychology, and I became a psychologist. And I then moved to Vancouver because I was used to the West Coast, and I got my license as a psychologist in British Columbia. When I went to university, they had, this is pre-video and everything, and they had movies on campus for students for like 50 cents. You could go watch a movie, and I saw all these films from around the world, and I really liked all these films. And they also showed all these classic black and white films and documentaries. And then when I moved to Canada, the movie theaters were only US films. And I really miss seeing these films. And then one day I thought, well, the only way I could see films that I want to see is open up my own movie theater. I had never taken a business class, so I had no idea how to run a business. And I dialed the Ridge Theater number, and I asked whether he would be interested in leasing his theater. And he said, yeah, no, I'm going to retire now. I'm 65, I want to retire, so I do want to lease the theater. And so I leased the theater, and that's how I started. And I showed films that I had seen in university, films from France or Asia, wherever they were from. And it was really popular from day one. I mean, a lot of them were not Hollywood blockbuster type films. They were, films from all various countries, and they were talking about that life there. And then they were also old black and white films that people had heard about, like Charlie Chaplin and Laurel and Hardy and, Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart and things like that. And there was just a real interest in seeing those films. I didn't give up my license for the first couple years because I didn't know whether it'd be successful. And just to give you an example of the time, when I was a psychologist, I was making $35,000 a year, but that was a good income at that time. And my first year at the Ridge Theater, where I worked every day, I didn't take one day off, I made $12,000. But I was really happy making the $12,000 because at the concession stand, I was selling all local food made by local people like Lazy Gourmet. I was showing the movies that I wanted. I did benefits for a lot of different charities because that's something I believed in. And I didn't mind, just making $12,000. I learned a lot, and I put people more in charge who knew how to run businesses than myself. Like, turns out that women I had hired who had been managers of restaurants, they really knew how to do business way more than I. So I put one in charge of all the concessions, the ordering, another one in charge of all the staffing, all these other things, because I had never run a business before. I'd just been in high school, then university, and then a psychologist. So I was really lucky to hire these women who had been managers at restaurants and really knew how to run things. And then things started to make money after they took charge of doing all of that stuff. I mean, just to give you an example, I wanted to sell these really healthy candy bars. And, I said, how much does it cost? Well, if you buy one carton, it costs this. If you buy a caseload, it costs this. So I would buy a caseload because it was a lot cheaper, not realizing there's no preservatives in those things. So if I'm not selling them fast enough, they're going to go bad. And the same thing with ice cream. I wanted to sell this really good ice cream, but it wasn't available in Canada. So I had to import it from the States. But import it from the States, you need a huge amount of it. So then I had to rent a freezer to put it in, and then the time of driving back and forth from the freezer, we needed ice cream. So there were just a lot of things I didn't know really how to do in business. But I learned over time At that time, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Toronto and Montreal all had film festivals, and I thought, all these people are coming to these foreign language films, are coming to documentaries, why not have a film festival in Vancouver? So I went and I set up the Vancouver International Film Festival, and so that was 1981. In 1990, there was a theater company in Canada called Odeon Theaters. This is pre-Cineplex, and they had the Park Theater, and the Varsity Theater was on West 10th Avenue towards UBC, and they gave up their leases, so I leased both of those theaters. Well, I think the Park Theater is a real part of Cambie Village. It was built here in 1940. More people that come here, that means more people that go to the restaurants here. They see stores, retail stores, clothing stores that they're going to shop in. So I think it's been a big part here of Cambie Village. And I certainly know when I operated it from 1990 to 2013, it was very popular. Back in those days, rent in Vancouver was very inexpensive, and it's not like it was today. I remember the first house that I bought. I'm talking about a house, and I had a Great Dane dog, so I needed a big yard. It cost $29,500. It was less than 1 year's salary as a psychologist, getting $35,000. So things in Vancouver have really gone way up. There's fewer theaters now than there used to be. You'll find this hard to believe, but at one time there were over 35 movie theaters in Vancouver. If you look at the assessment value of businesses in Vancouver City, it's around 18% of the total property value in Vancouver City, yet we pay 50% of the property taxes. So 18% is paying 50% of the property taxes. And I'm happy that I helped set up Cambie Village Business Association. Those organizations really help the small businesses because, we're not alone. We live in community, and it's important that we support our community and our friends. And, not everybody might be as fortunate as us, and we should help them. I've done a lot of work in cancer and mental health and food security. It's called Food Stash Foundation, and they do what the food bank does, except they only do fresh food. So they do fruits and vegetables, cheese, yogurt, milk, butter, meat and fish, no canned goods or packaged goods. They're give it to people in need, and so it doesn't end up in the landfill. I think it's 140,000 pounds every month that they deliver to people in need. They deliver it to charities that have kitchens where people can go and they prepare the food, and they also deliver it to about 130 households who, because of disabilities, can't get to markets. And they also have 1 day a week where people sign up for a time and they come and they get the free food. But it's all really good food. It's all fresh food that they get. EcoJustice is Canada's largest environmental law firm, and what they do is they sue the government to protect the environment and species at risk. It's a really good organization, and it represents, salmon or whales, any animal at risk or in forests or there. It gives free legal work to various groups that have standing to sue. So it's suing government or major corporations that are mining or oil and gas stuff in areas that is affecting people's health. Coast Mental Health Foundation really does really good work. I mean, that's where my psychology background comes out, with people, having issues with mental health, and we have supportive housing. We have several thousand people in supportive housing throughout the Lower Mainland. It's a really good organization. We do the Courage to Come Back Awards, and we've really helped a lot of people. Well, I think stories are so important, and if you think about Indigenous people, stories is one way things have get passed on, and people a lot of times relate to stories rather than just, reading facts about, here's the facts about something, but someone's own experience, I think, motivates people, and that's why Coast Mental Health Foundation, for example, has the Courage to Come Back Awards, because then people tell their stories of what turned around their life, from really desperate situations, and so it's very possible to get out of bad situations, and people can relate to an individual story and to make some changes in their own life. So, I guess, my legacy will be starting the film festival, but it wasn't the only thing, as we've talked about, that I've been involved with. And, I'm not going to have a legacy as a husband or a father, but that's something that's very important to me as well, that, I was a good husband and a good father, and grandfather now. I ended up doing something very different than psychology, so don't be afraid to do something that interests you, something that excites you. You don't have to do the thing that you thought you were going to be doing.